So hello everyone and welcome back to another video in my channel, Selena Trading Moves. Thank you so much for the support you're receiving in the past few days. I really appreciate it, guys. Thank you so much. Thank you. And we are back to another video here in our channel. So as you guys can see in the title, today we're going to talk about a lot of important headlines in the US stock market. So we can see a great week coming. Maybe because uh as the week starts, well, we see that there's a lot of stuff is happening. So we gotta check it out all step by step because there's a lot that's happening today. So Trump is postponing the strikes on Iranian power plants and is open to discussions. So this just means the market is slowly getting into a positive outcome, okay? So as you can see here, Trump poses strikes on Iranian power plants, and the Brent slips back to less than 100. We can see here for crude oil in the CFDs of crude oil. We can see they went to 89 after it was um before it was like 97. So we closed the week at we started today at 100. But we went to 84 and now we're at 89. So 8% drop just before the market even opened. So this is a great sign that the market may be recovering today. Trump is postponing the Iranian military strikes. Oil tumbles after Trump postpones strikes on Iranian power plants. Bond yields tumble, US stock futures rally, and fear gives way to hope on Trump comments. So this is all of the best things we can hear today because if we can finally see an outcome, we can see some hope that the stock market maybe will fix itself. Also, dollar is stabilizing as Trump announces the talks with Iran. So that's a great sign that maybe the US stock market is going to recover this week. We can see that on Friday we have recorded losses on several US stocks. So for example, Nasdaq rose on short or less. Same thing goes for Nasdaq, S&P, and also for the Dow Jones. So this week could be a potential shift in what is happening. Okay, so this week or even these days, we can just wait for the opening, and then we would see what could happen to the stock market. So Trump is holding off on hitting Iran power plants, and that's a great signal. Okay, so investors are getting more and more confident that the market may recover this week. Really sorry, guys. The room I was staying in had low. It was so hot. I had to turn the AC on. So, we can see one VT saying, could we analyze the crude oil market? Well, yes, that's what we're doing, Mr. Juan He. So, VT, that's what we're doing here. As you can see, we analyze it. What's happening? Because, as you can see here, many great news are coming. Chevron and ExxonMobil are also falling. So this is a potential shift in the market conditions today. So let's go to Chevron and then you can see here, okay? So Chevron is going lower. Today, in today's market, Chevron is going down. Oh, this was on Friday. So we closed it on this weird candle, okay? So we're going to see what's going to happen in exactly 14 minutes. Well, US oil majors Chevron, ExxonMobil both fell by more than 2%. Airline stocks, including United Airlines, Delta Airlines, are moving higher. These companies have been facing increased fuel costs due to the energy shock brought about by the Iran war. So we're seeing a new shift in the market. The dollar is also stabilizing as Trump announced the talks with Iran, while the US dollar index, which tracks the greenback against a basket of rival currencies, had fallen by 0.1%. The euro weakened against the dollar, and all the in a social media post, Trump said that the talks over the last 2 days were largely complete and total resolutions to hostilities were productive. So Trump, you're right. So let's check it out, okay? Let's read the whole thing, okay? So Trump the lowest threats Iranian power plants after very good talks on ending war. Trump says US had productive conversations with Tehran, but Iran's foreign ministry denies any dialogue with Washington. So President says the US and Iran have had productive conversation and that he will hold off any military strikes against Iranian energy sites for 5 days, walking back his threat to strike if Tehran did not allow the full reopening of the Strait of Hormuz, a waterway crucial to the global economy. Iran responds that there was long dialogue between Tehran and Washington. State affairs media reported, and Trump's statement was part of efforts to reduce energy prices and buy time for the implementation of his military plans. Iran had vowed to retaliate by striking energy targets around the Middle East. Oil prices have commented after Trump suggested that the very good talks could lead to the end of the war. So he gave them a 48-hour ultimatum to Iran. Over the weekend, US President Donald J. Trump threatened to urgent obliterate Iranian power plants if Iran did not reopen the Strait of Hormuz, a vital waterway it has effectively closed during the war. Within 48 hours, the day after Trump's threat, Iranian parliament speaker said that the US targeted Iranian power plants. The country's retaliation could see critical infrastructure and energy facilities in the Middle East irreversibly destroyed. Iran's semi-official mail news published a map of power plants in the Gulf, warning say goodbye to electricity should Trump follow through on his threat. Iran's representative to the UN Maritime Agency said yesterday that the Strait of Hormuz remained open to all shipping except vessels linked to Iran's enemies. Later in the day, Iran's armed force headquarters declared it was ready to close the strait indefinitely if the US attacked power plants. Today, the IRGC reiterated that it would respond in kind of any attacks on the country's power plants. So, what we're seeing here is that Trump actually is not really discussing with Iran, but he's just looking up the story so that he can actually make the prices go lower. And yes, the prices are going lower now. I agree with you guys. The stock market is also going productively positive, and this could start something better because if we find out that Trump was lying, well, this is going to be a big problem. Let me read what Donald J. Trump said exactly. I am pleased to report that the United States of America, and the country of Iran have had over the last 2 days very good and productive conversations regarding the complete and total resolution of our hostilities in the Middle East. Based on the tenor and tone of these in-depth, detailed, and constructive conversations, which will continue throughout the week, I have instructed the Department of War to postpone any and all military strikes against Iranian power plants and energy infrastructure for a 5-day period, subject to the success of the ongoing meetings and discussions. Thank you for your attention to this matter, President Donald J. Trump. The comment says, well, this could be a fake signal that maybe Trump didn't really find a way to didn't really have a talk with Iran. He just made up the story so that the prices get better. But if we really find out that it was Will this could shift the stock market to go to a prices that are very bad because I remember the situation happened before, right? So the Trump administration have been very supportive of Saudi Arabia's defense against Iranian attacks and has approved requests to restock weapons and ammunition. A regional official familiar with the discussions told CNN. The official said U.S. has also approved third-party transfers, clearing the way for allies to send U.S.-made weapons from their own stockpiles in Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia has also consulted the Iranian threats to attack the region's civilian infrastructure in retaliation to any U.S. attacks on Iranian infrastructure. In January, the Trump administration approved the sale of 73 Patriot missiles for Saudi Arabia in a $9 billion US deal. Saudi Arabia was designated a major non-NATO ally of the US in November, easing arms transfers to the country. Over the weekend, the administration bypassed Congress to expedite the sale of nearly 8.4 billion in arms sales to the US, to the UAE, and 8 billion to Kuwait, then 70 million to Jordan. So the prices are going down. I agree with you, but only if the news that Trump really had discussions with Iran are true, okay? So let's see this study done by Morgan Stanley, okay? Morgan Stanley reiterated one consumer name as its top pick, arguing the company is better placed than peers to navigate economic uncertainty linked to the war in the Middle East. Analyst data reiterated the overweight rating on Coca-Cola, citing strong 2026 visibility, and as you can see, the firm highlighted short-term earnings visibility and what it calls outsized long-term growth as the two factors behind its view. Wow. So, oil fell by over 30% on Monday after US President Donald Trump said he would order the military to postpone any strikes against Iranian power plants and energy infrastructure. Brent crude futures had fallen around $17 or 50% to a session low of 96 a barrel. So, all of the major oils in the US had fallen by a big percentage. Okay? And as you guys can see here, well, we should wait for the opening of the market to really know what's going to happen next for the oil market. So if you guys have any questions, please ask me in the comment section. So let's move on to the major indices of the US to really see what's going to happen today. Well, first of all, this is a support level that we've had seen before. Here, the price went for a correction and it's going up again. So US equity index futures are all up 2% or more. Trump is postponing the strikes on the Iranian power plants, as we said before. The dollar is going up also. And yes, the US stock index futures turned sharply higher on Monday. So let's see the futures of the S&P. Okay, let's see the future for S&P. So in the futures market, we went up by, why can I see that? I can't see it. So what's the change here? So we opened on 6,508 and it went up to 6,740 and now we're at 6,678. Okay, so this potentially could be a great movement, as you can see here. This is where it all went up, and that's exactly the minute Trump announced this key information. So that was um Sunday 11 p.m. Okay, so that was on Sunday 11 p.m. when the market went up. That was when the market opens, though. Okay, that was in the Asian session. So the market went up in the Asian session at 11 a.m. China time. Okay, so let's see. How about the Nasdaq? Oh wow! So the Nasdaq also went higher at 11 a.m. exactly. So in 2 minutes, we went up from 20, 24K. You can say 20, 23 something, 23, or even one from here. Okay, 23,800 up to 24,700. So for all the futures of the major stocks of the US, they all went up. All the futures market in the Asian session today. So we have to check what's going to happen for the normal index, okay? Not the S&P, not the futures one, but just a normal index. So I have to wait for the CFD of the S&P 500 that's going to open in a bit, and then we're going to find out exactly what's going to happen next for the S&P. Because if you go to the weekly chart here, even for the monthly chart, so this is the second month in a row where we keep going down, okay? So February was a loss, same thing for March, and we are still going down on March, so hopefully we're going to recover a bit before the end of the month. That's what we hope so for this week. So we have been going down for 4 weeks in a row now, okay? 4 weeks in a row, and nearly 1 month. We've been just going down. No green candle on the weekly chart, okay? So always closing lower and in each beginning of the month compared to the last beginning of the month. So as you guys can see, that's very concerning because this would cause a big problem to the market, okay? This may be will cause a big problem, and we really have to think about what's going to happen next for all these stocks. And the market is opening right now, okay? So we can put the daily chart maybe. Well, the market should be opening, okay? Okay, yes. So as you guys can see here, it's turning green. It's turning green for the S&P, for the Nasdaq, for DGI, and for all the big tech companies. As you can see, Apple is going on green, Tesla opening on green. It's green for all the major indices, and that's a great sign. That's a great sign, okay? So we're all going up. As you guys can see here, it's going up for S&P, for the DGI, for Nasdaq, and for all the big companies. You can see Tesla benefiting a lot, and NVDA. So finally, that's something we've been waiting for. Yeah, NVIDIA too is going up. All the major companies are going up. US oil, also for crude oil, we're seeing a potential shift here. It keeps going down. No, the last candle of the hourly candle is green. So that's a great signal that would make a lot of change into those market conditions. And this could be a great sign to buy, okay? This could have been a great sign if you guys wanted to go offer or bid. This was the perfect time for it. So for all the people that got their positions in, that's great. Congratulations for you. It's actually perfect for you guys. I'm very happy for everyone who got their orders in as soon as possible. So if you guys got any other questions for me, you can just let me know in the comment section, okay? So you can just let me know in the comment section. So as you guys can see here, it's turning all green for the major big and big companies here. So as Trump announced that he's postponing potential strikes on Iran. And this is actually a pretty big deal for financial markets. And let's break down what's happening and why it matters. First thing, this is a de-escalation signal. Markets hit uncertainty, especially geopolitical risk. So when tensions go down, even temporarily, you usually see risk appetite coming back, less panic hedging, more confidence in equities. So basically, traders move from protect mode to back to risk mode. Let's start with oil because that's a most sensitive asset here. So Iran is a major oil player, and any military conflict in that region threatens supply. So before this announcement, oil was pricing in a risk premium. Now with strike postponed, that premium starts to unwind, and oil prices can pull back or stabilize. And this is important because lower oil equals lower inflation pressure. And lower inflation is better for stocks long term. Now, equities. This is where it gets interesting. With less geopolitical tensions, US stocks are likely to push higher short term. For the tech stocks, benefit the most, and for the defense stocks, could pull back slightly. So what you're seeing is rotation back into growth and the risk assets. And gold is the classic fear trade. So, before rising tensions, gold goes up. Now that the de-escalation, gold can cool off or stall. But in here, we can see that the gold is going up, but it's slightly going down on the last hour. So, we have the de-escalation, which means a same area applies to US dollar that might weaken slightly, and the bigger picture, is this real or temporary? Now, here's the real question, and this is what you should focus on. Is this a real de-escalation or just a delay before something bigger? Because markets right now are reacting as if crisis is avoided. But if tensions come back suddenly, the oil spikes again, stocks drop fast, and volatility explodes. So, this is not resolved, it's just paused. Now, what should you watch next? If you're trading or invested, watch this closely. If you see any statement from Trump, any oil price reaction, and watch the volatility index. And this is where the real signal will come from. So to sum it up, strike postponement equals short-term bullish for markets. Oil down, which means good for inflation narrative. Stocks up, which means risk appetite returning. And the gold down, which means fear premium fades. But remember, this is a temporary relief trade and not a final resolution. So they've got a major geopolitical development that just hit the wires, and the market reaction is already unfolding. So here's the headline. Trump has announced a postponement of potential military strikes on Iran. Now, at first glance, that this sounds political, but for us, this is pure market moving information. And let's break it down step by step. Because there's actually a lot going on beneath the surface. So what does this mean in market terms? So first, forget politics. Think in terms of risk pricing. Markets are constantly pricing in probabilities, war risk, supply disruptions, inflation shocks, and global instability. So before this announcement, there was a growing fear premium in the market. Now, with this delay, that premium starts getting repriced lower, and that's why you'll notice stock stabilizer moving up, oil pulling back, and safe havens losing momentum. And this is classic de-escalation behavior. And oil is the first signal. If you want to understand whether this move is real or not, just watch oil. Iran sits in one of the most critical oil regions in the world. So, when the tensions rise, the traders price in potential supply disruption. Oil spikes quickly, and when tensions cool, that risk premium gets removed. So right now, if oil starts dropping, market believes de-escalation. If oil stays strong, market doesn't trust the news. And this is your real-time lie detector. And this matters beyond oil itself. Lower oil equals lower inflation expectations, and lower inflation equals more room for central banks. And that's bullish for equities. Now, let's talk about stocks, because this is where most people are focused. When geopolitical fear drops, you typically see a shift in leadership. What goes up is tech, high beta names, and risk assets. What goes down or pauses are defense stocks, energy, safe dividend plays. So, what we're seeing is a rotation bit back into risk. And this is not random, it's systematic. Big money is basically saying, okay, worst case scenario is less likely, and let's take risk again. Now, let's move to the defensive side of the market, which is the gold. Well, the gold thrives on fear and uncertainty. What risk up equals gold up. What risk down equals gold good enough. And for the US dollars, it's tricky because it's both a safe haven and the global liquidity tool. But generally, less panic equals slightly weaker dollar. And is this a real de escalation or just a pause? Now, this is the most important part of the entire stream. Markets are reacting as if crisis is avoided. But is that actually true? Or is this just a delay before escalation? Because geopolitics doesn't resolve in one headline. So you need to think in scenarios. The first one is true de escalation. Oil continues lower, stocks went higher, and volatility fading. Now, the second scenario is temporary pause. Oil stabilizing, doesn't drop watch, markets staying cautious, and sudden reversal risk remaining. Now, the re-escalation is new headlines hitting, oil spikes aggressively, and stocks drop fast, and market can switch between these very, very quickly. But here is the most hidden risk that most people miss. Here's something most retail traders don't actually think about. Even if strikes are postponed, the uncertainty itself is still in the system, which means volatility isn't gone. It's just temporarily suppressed. So what happens is you can get short-term rallies followed by sharp reversals, and this is how traders get trapped. And what smart money is likely doing? It's probably reducing extreme hedges, rotating back into equity slowly, and watching oil every day. So you could take a look at Glide. It has a cost basis of 695. What are the current options for buying? 75. Thank you so much for your comment. Let's check it out. What are the current options for buying? So as you can see here, Tesla is doing way too good. 3.27% up. So as you can see here, we have a great support zone at this level. That's a great and potential signal for you, okay? TK Advocate is Diabolo is saying, I'm an AI stop. Well, thank you so much for your comment. Thank you so much. This could mean my knowledge is way too good, okay? So this is potentially the meaning of his comment. And that's why, and they can now get to my level. Well, thank you for your comment anyways, Mr. BK, Burger King, whatever. Burger King, avocado or something. Diabolical maybe. So what are the current options for buying? First of all, I think stocks are good. Here, as you can see, Tesla went $11 up. Same Nasdaq is going up by 400 already, just in today's market open. Also for DGI, who's gaining $790, okay? So Tesla is Tesla keeps going up, as you guys can see here. And also for oil, it's going down. So let's check on the West or Brent maybe. So Brent reached these levels and then it went down from 109 to 97 today, okay? So that's a great signal. So Brent keeps going down, and for crude oil, it's also going down. So Apple is also gaining momentum. But I see Tesla as the biggest winner. Let's check out on NVDA, okay? So NVIDIA also is gaining a lot of important um so let's add NVIDIA to my wish list. No, that's not crypto. So I have Tesla, Apple, and I need Microsoft. So what else do I need here? Do I have all my stocks in hand? Yes, I do. Okay, perfect. So NVIDIA is going 2.4% up. Tesla, same thing. Same thing goes for Apple and all the major stocks. So that's a great sign. Yes, of course, Charlotte, of course. Sure, you can do it now if you want. Yes, you can go in. So, can I make a purchase via the app today? Yes, of course you can. You can go and check it up right now. So let's see the latest news, okay? So US stocks still at the open. On the Middle East, the escalation hopes. So this is just a hope. But as I said, guys, this could be a small bubble because maybe the price will go down drastically in a bit. So that's why I'm telling you, please stay cautious. US stocks jumped out of the gate on Monday, bouncing back for a bruising week after President Donald J. Trump temporarily postponed strikes on key Iranian energy facilities following potentially maybe existed productive talks. We don't even know if it really happened or not. The benchmark S&P 500 index was up 1.4% to 6,600 points. The tech-heavy Nasdaq also, and for all the big companies. So as I'm telling you guys, based on the tone of these conversations, which will continue throughout the week, Trump said he has instructed the Pentagon to postpone any and all military strikes against Iranian power plants and energy infrastructure for 5 days. So I am telling you guys also, Iranian state media and the spokesperson of the government said they had no talks with Washington. So what's making Trump actually say that has discussed with Iranian government is something that he came up with maybe. So this could be a signal for him to just make the prices and for the oil price to go down. So as you can see here, the oil prices went down by 9% just in today's market conditions, okay? So just today, we have seen the market go 9% down, and that's a great sign. That's a great sign for the market. Why are prices increasing so much quickly? Well, the oil prices are actually decreasing today. If you can see here, thank you so much for your comment, by the way. So please tell me here so I can explain to you exactly what happened. Donald Trump just announced that he had great discussions and productive conversation with the Iranian government through the weekend. But and also he said that he would stop all the strikes on Iranian power plants. He said that he will hold off any military strikes against Iranian energy sites for 5 days, and this could mean that the oil prices will stabilize. And they are actually stabilizing. So today you have seen the market go 9% lower because see the S&P 500 going up, all the major US stocks recovering from last week. And yes, also at the same time, it's funny, but Iranian response is the Iranian foreign minister said that there was no dialogue between Tehran and Washington. State-affiliated media reported, adding that Trump's statement was part of efforts to reduce energy prices and buy time for the implementation of his military plan. Iran had vowed to retaliate by striking energy targets around the Middle East, so the oil prices have actually went down after Trump suggested that the very good talks could lead to the end of the war. We can never know if the talks really existed or not because Iran is denying any talk with the US while Trump is confirming and reconfirmed through his social media account that he had productive talks and is guiding the Department of War to stop oil strikes on Iranian power plants for 5 days. So we can never know if Trump actually had productive conversations, as he's saying or not, with the Iranian government. But what we know for now is that the oil prices are actually going up. So here you can see, for example, for oil prices are going down, minus 9.20%, 22%, okay? So we started the day off at 100, but we're going down to 89 already. So that's a great sign for the stock market. Ryan, the Iran state media said zero contact to USA contradicted President Trump's announcement. Okay, Boston. So oil futures are sharply lower after President Trump said the U.S. has postponed plans to attack Iranian power plants and energy infrastructures for 5 days following productive conversations with Iran. Most are tempered by reports from Iranian state media saying the foreign ministry denies any dialogue between Washington and Tehran. So we have live updates here and let's check it up again, okay? So I can check this post by Straight, sorry. The end of the Trumpism. If Iran war seems like a political disaster, the only president can shake. Wow, I had some news. Even before Trump's implacable victory in 2016, political observers of all stripes have confidently predicted that it was all about to come crashing down. You have after the release of the access tape. Well, that's so much shock. That's not financial. Thank you so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Okay, so Trump is negotiating and then into the war. The Middle East crisis 5. President says move comes following productive conversations with Iran. He arrives in the world, and as you can see, still IDF as possible Serbia have launched another wave strikes in Iran. The even just began another wave of strikes targeting infrastructure of the Iranian terror regime across Iran. Donald Trump earlier claimed that the US and Iran have held talks on the complete and total resolution of hostilities in the Middle East, and that he would postpone American attacks on Iranian power plants by 5 days after having productive conversations with Tehran. Iran's half-state media Mehr news agency has quoted the country's foreign ministry as saying Donald Trump's statements are part of efforts to reduce energy prices and buy time to implement his military plans. It was not immediately clear where Israel stood on the matter, but waves of strikes targeting infrastructure would suggest it is not entirely on the same page as the US. So, what we know for now is that the oil prices are going down. Is it a temporary move? Is it going to be there for a while? No idea. But the only thing we know is that the US stocks are also soaring at the same time. So this could be a great shift in the market. So in which countries are most impacted by energy crisis right now? That's a great question, but the countries that would suffer a lot are those that have no oil resources, okay? So the countries that have freedom already are actually impacted by energy crisis. And they would continue being so as they don't really have resources or ways to get oil. And how is this far affecting the global economy? Well, this one is affecting the economy as you can see, for example, inflation is going up, stocks were going down, and oil prices going up. When oil goes up, every single thing we have in the world literally goes up. Okay, so from food, from whatever, all of them go up. So transportation costs rise, which makes goods become more and more expensive. Companies are suffering losses, and they have to do it for a long time until prices stabilize again. How is Western digital? Okay, let's check it. So WDC is going up. Okay, how is how is Western Digital Corporation doing? So it is basically right in one thing. It's a data center demand. Everyone talks about NVDA, but someone has to store all the data. And that's where WDC comes in. So demand is real. It's a hype. So they had a strong growth, okay? So its market capitalization is still down. It's like $102 billion, which is not a lot, but this is real growth, not hype. Yeah, the gross margin, if you compare it with like let's see weekly chart, well, the company is on a uptrend, okay? So we have the all-time high at 320, and we are still going up. This could be one of the greatest stocks to trade in right now, okay? So as you can see here, uh, your is doing pretty good. So as you can see here for Western Digital, it's doing pretty good. So if you go to Apple, for example, we had the first correction here, went up, beautiful correction, went up again, and here we have the price rejected here again, okay? So our strategies are working in major indexes. Same thing goes for Tesla. We can see it going slightly above or at the same level as this rejection that was back in January, June, okay? Same thing goes for for NVDA that went on, touches the support zone, and then is going up again. And the same thing goes for S&P 500. We touched our support level, went up again. And by the way, we had the support level before we hit this low. So just it just went on to hit our our low here, and then it went up again. And the same thing for Nasdaq. Correction, go up. So patterns are repeating themselves again in all the major indexes. You're welcome. Thank you so much. You're welcome. That's my pleasure. So this is what we see for the Dow Jones now, okay? So this is what we see for Dow Jones. And I like trading this way because it shows all the important zones where the prices actually holded or dropped or got rejected. So this is the way I like my trading. It's all planned, it's all smooth, and you can see every single um chart at every single level. So if you guys got any more questions regarding this topic, you can just let me know in the comment section. So we move on to the next topic now. What's ahead for us in this week? That's a very important question that would tell us a lot about the market conditions, okay? So the DJI is going up and all the major indexes are still going up. And as I always say, if you guys have any question, please let me know in the comment section. That would be my great pleasure to answer all of your questions, guys, okay? So as you guys can see here, the market is going up. We can maybe see the Dow Jones reaching these levels before either keep going up or going down. So the market is recovering. Tesla is doing pretty well. It had went up by 13%. Oil keeps going down. So the crude oil is at 89 now. And that's a great job. Nvidia, same thing, 3% up. Same thing goes for Apple. Oh, why is it going down here? So the next under reports comes in 38 days. So let's analyze everything. And as you can see here, Apple China is doing pretty well. So let's see how the TGC meeting went for Tesla, for NVIDIA, sorry. So the price target for NVIDIA is 300. So let's see how we can actually make it up to this level because I don't think it's an easy work. NVIDIA stock is stuck and it's facing a new China problem. Nvidia stock hits a boost. The resumption of sales in China looks promising, but competition from a new Huawei chip could be an obstacle. Nvidia shares went up in pre-market trading following the wider market higher after President Trump said Tehran and Washington were talking about a potential end to the Iran conflict. That's helpful, but in the bigger picture, Nvidia stock remains range bound. One of the factors Nvidia is counting on to get the shares going is prospective sales in Tesla. However, Huawei is launched Atlas 350 escalator. So let's check the NVIDIA TGC meeting. GTC, sorry. So let's read the analysis of Goldman Sachs. So after another stellar GTC showing, the bank reiterated its 250 price target and maintained a buy rated. And it's underscoring confidence in the AI giant's tremendous upside from current levels. It's important to note that Goldman Sachs first raised its NVIDIA price target to 250 back on November 2025. Since then, it has reiterated that target in multiple notes, including one following GTC. At that time of writing on March 21, Nvidia stock was last trading at 172. That said, Goldman Sachs analyst fear that CEO Jason Huang's keynote delivered exactly what the bonds needed to hear. In clearer demand visibility and a stronger case that AI spending isn't slowing down. One Bush analyst recently praised the AI bellwether following its first day at GTC 2026, echoed that sentiment. I've said the company is still alone at the top of the mountain, expanding its reach across everything from compute and networking to inference and robotics. So, GTC meeting outcome. We need to know the outcome of the GTC meeting. So, if you guys got any questions, please let me know in the comment section. I'll be very, very happy to answer all of your comments, guys. Thank you so much. So, how to watch Jensen Huang's NVIDIA GTC 2026 keynote and what to expect. Oh, that's a great question. That's a great question that we received. Thank you so much for your question. So, SK Helix is planning to list in the US. What are your thoughts on this, Professor? That's a really great question, and we're going to answer that question, okay? So, what it really means. First, SKNX isn't just any chip company. They're basically the backbone of AI memory, and now they're planning a US ADR listing. So, this is not about going global. It's about valuation and money. They want to raise 7 billion up to 11 billion US dollars. They're selling 2.4% of shares. They have funds go straight into AI memory capacity and semiconductor infrastructure. But the deep reason is US market pays higher multiples for AI. Right now, US investors are willing to overpay for AI exposure. Korean market is more conservative. So this is basically less in the US equals get re-rated like NVDA and Micron. And you don't raise capital like this unless demand is strong, you're confident in the cycle, and you need to scale fast. And that's exactly what's happening. AI demand is exploding, memory prices are surging and supply is structurally tight. Even SK itself is saying shortages could last now, and that's bullish for the whole memory sector. But there's a catch that most people get wrong. They hear AI plus capital raise means bullish, but it's also dilution. New shares equals more supply. Existing shareholders get diluted. Even if it's a small 2.4%, it still matters. And this is classic cycle behavior. Demand explodes, prices go up, companies raise the money, capacity expanded, and eventually we have oversupply. We are somewhere between step 2 and step 3 now. And this is also geopolitical and strategic. US is the center of AI capital. NVIDIA is the ecosystem in NVIDIA ecosystem is US driven and investors want direct exposure to the supply chain. So SK Helix is basically saying we're not just a Korean company, we're part of the global AI core. And they want to be priced like it. So against Samsung, it's more diversified. Against Micron, it's closer comparison. So if SKL is in the US, the valuation gap versus Micron should shrink. And that's a big deal for investors. So my honest take, it's going to be bullish for the sector and a smart move by management. But also it's slight late cycle behavior signal. So SK Hynix listed in the US is not just a listing, it's a statement they're trying to tap into the AI premium the only US markets are giving right now. It's bullish, but also tells you very deep into that cycle. So, I want to go back to the subject. What's ahead in this week? What moves markets now? Well, the only thing that matters right now is the Iran situation. Everything this week revolves around Trump delaying strikes on Iran that triggered a relief rally. Stocks were up, oil is down, and gold is down. But here's the key. This is just a 5-day pause, not a solution. So the market is basically trading no war, just for now. And this is the number one chart to watch, which is oil. And that's your main indicator this week. Oil dropped sharply after the news, but structurally, supply is tight, geopolitical risk is still high. Goldman is even talking about 100 plus US dollars oil scenarios short term. So how to read it? All keeps dropping equals bullish stocks. All rebounds, market doesn't trust the piece. So market just came from 4 weeks of losses and war-driven volatility. But now, if you don't jump hard, 2 to 4%, but don't get fooled. This is just a relief bounce and not a new trend yet. So what to watch? You should see if momentum continue after the open or fade after the first few days. And this is the hidden layer. All spike recently already heard rate cut expectations. Fed is now likely more cautious and there's fewer cuts. So even if stocks bounce, the macro background is still tight. So economic data is not the main driver this week, but it's still relevant. We have jobless claims, trade data, and manufacturing numbers. They're probably important, but this week they're secondary to geopolitics. So markets are acting like crisis is avoided, but in reality, Iran-United negotiations situation is still unstable, and we can never know if the talks really happened or Trump just made it up. So there's two scenarios that we should be waiting for this week. Scenario A, no escalation, oil continues down, and stocks grind higher. And for the situation B, it's choppy, headline driven, and fake breakouts in both sides. Scenario C, new escalation headline, oil spikes, and stocks dump fast. So this week is not about earnings, not about data, it's about headlines. The market is trading a pause in war at that piece, and that means volatility is still very much alive. So in this week, we have oil price, which is a top signal that you should be watching. Headlines from US and Iran, stock momentum after the bounce, gold reaction volatility, okay? So these are the 5 things you should be watching. And let's see if we have more news coming throughout the day. Okay, so the oil is nearly into 10% levels, okay? 10% down levels. Trump postpones Iran strike says oil to drop like rock. If it did reach the US President Donald J. Trump said Monday he has instructed the Pentagon to temporarily postpone military strikes against Iranian power plants and energy infrastructure for a 5-day period, while expressing confidence that oil prices will plunge once a deal is finalized. This decision came after what he described as productive conversations between the US and Iran over the past 2 days. But it was a teller and tone of these in-depth, detailed and constructive conversations. So that's what Trump said in his social media. So Trump said Iran wants to make a deal very badly and predicted oil prices would drop like a rock as soon as an agreement is reached. He added that the US wants as much oil as possible in the market. Trump said the Strait of Hormuz will be jointly controlled and will reopen very soon if it works. Though he stopped short of offering guarantees. The president confirmed the US is speaking with a top person in Iran, but clarified it is not Iran's supreme leader. Trump said he has not heard from the supreme leader and noted that nobody knows what happened to the new Iranian supreme leader, though he added that Iran does have some leader left. Trump said he did not initiate the contact. I didn't call, they called. They want to make a deal, he said, adding that the US is very willing to make a deal. The president outlined US demands, saying Washington wants to see no nuclear bomb or weapon for Iran, no enrichment, and also wants Iran enriched uranium. He also said Israel would be very happy with what we have on Iran and confirmed the US spoke with Israel earlier on Monday. Trump reiterated that he views Iran as having been an imminent threat. He also remarks that Iran needs better public relations people. According to Iran's Fars News and agency, there are no direct or indirect communications with the US. A senior security official called Trump's comments psychological warfare. Trump, who is under increasing domestic pressure over the war, had previously given Iran until Monday night to reopen the Strait of Hormuz or face airstrikes on the country's power plant. Tehran rebuffed the ultimatum, saying the strait, a crucial waterway through which one-fifth of the world's oil flows, will stay closed should these sites be hit. So, yes, the market is going up, but this couldn't mean it. Doesn't mean the market is going up and is recovering. Well, because it's not really stable. We would never know if the oil prices would go up tomorrow because they say that the talks never happened, okay? So Wall Street up after job postpones, bank airlines job amid broader market gains, and Chevron, of course, must some valuation. So let's see what Chevron is right now. Nope, not Circle, not you. No one is talking to you, Chevron. Circle. So Chevron is going up. Wow, unexpected. Oh, okay. So after the war started, it rose by way too much valuation. So right now the market bounce on Iran de-escalation. We should ask this: is this a new uptrend or just a short-term squeeze plus relief? Well, real rallies are equals broad participation and strong volume, while relief rallies equals fast, emotional, and fade later. If this rally is real, it should hold even with good news, without good news. So, this is a broad level read. If bad news comes out and market ignores it, that's bullish. If good news comes out, market doesn't go up, that's bearish. The reaction matters more than the news itself. So, this is a very good, strong talking point. Normally, when oil goes up, it's bad for stocks. When oil goes down, that's good for stocks. But lately, both are rising at times, and that's weird. So ask, is the market ignoring inflation risk or pricing somewhere else? So tech is still holding strong, energy is volatile, commodities are moving. And the key question is this really investment or just momentum chasing? You can link this to NVDA, Microsoft, and SQL Unix. And everyone knows the AI story now. Valuations are stretched. So are we investing in AI or just paying for the narrative? So markets are acting like rate cuts will come in, but in reality, inflation is still sensitive and Fed is still cautious. So is the market too optimistic on rate cuts or what? And this is a very strong, smart topic. VIX is not exploding, but geopolitical plus macro risks everywhere. And this creates a dangerous setup, calm surface, and unstable foundation. So you should ask this instead. Is money rotating between sectors, or is it just the same few stocks holding the market up? So retail is just the hype, the AI, crypto, etc. But institutions are more cautious. So ask, who is actually driving this market right now? You should give scenarios like oil spiking back above key levels, sudden Iran escalation, Fed turns more hawkish, and big tech earnings disappointment. And most people ignore this, but markets move on liquidity. Is liquidity expanding or are we just rotating existing money? And right now the market feels strong, but it's not stable. It's reacting to headlines, not fundamentals. And that's when things can change very fast. So do you guys think this run is real? Would you guys buy here? Would you guys like really invest or just take a small day trade, okay? So we can never know what's going to happen in these market conditions because the market is not really stable for the moment and we should wait for better and key data. So these are the latest news. So at the same time, Prime Minister of the UK, Keir Starmer, summoned the National Emergency Million on Monday to deal with economic fallout from the escalating war in Iran. So the summer financial markets intensified in early trade this week after Iran said it would strike the energy and water systems of Gulf neighbors if US President Donald J. Trump follows through with a threat to hit Iran's electricity grid. So the cabinet meeting, named for a secure cabinet briefing room used for national emergencies, was set to take place in the afternoon, London time. The governor of the Bank of England is due to attend, as well as Trump's finance minister, foreign secretary, and energy secretary. I'm asking for every level that's available to the government to deal with the cost of living to be discussed at Cobra. Starmer told the reporters. The finance minister said energy security and the resilience of industrial supply chains would also be discussed. He said it is too soon to say what the impact of the war will be for Britain's economy. She has resisted calls for sweeping cost of living measures for households, saying instead that more targeted support is under consideration. Inflation is set to shoot higher. So the energy prices are now showing that all big companies should really try to make some key involvement in the war. So Middle Eastern airlines such as Emirates, followed by Etihad, Qatar Airways, and Arabia, some numbers of flights fall to near zero after initial strikes by US and Israeli forces on Iran on February 28. So flight operations from the UAE, which includes Abu Dhabi and Dubai, have gradually resumed since the strikes, though they remain well below levels seen before the conflict. The pace of recovery has varied among carriers. Dubai-based Emirates has restored nearly three-quarters of its pre-conflict capacity, while Al Arabia and Etihad are operating at around half of their normal levels. Flight Dubai is at around a third of its scheduled capacity, while Qatar Airways suffering the most, that's operating at just 20% of pre-conflict level. The conflict has affected fares and passenger demand, while airlines that do not hinge against oil prices have challenges from rising jet fuel costs. The situation has also disrupted flight schedules from rising in Europe and Asia that cut some airlines to ground aircraft and resulted in extended flights that reroute around conflict zones. So, this war is the main headline of the world right now, okay? Iran doesn't want to see the world hidden. And yes, if you don't see any new, let's say, improvement in the war in the next few days, we would stay in the same loophole every single time, okay? So we would nearly never be, we can say, we could never heal from this war, and we would just stay in the same hole every single time. So I think I'll discuss everything. If you guys have any questions, please let me know in the comment section. So, US President Trump said Monday has instructed the temper. Oh yeah, we have seen that before. Wow, so we got an important statement. Global prices have not climbed enough to cause demand destruction. US Energy Secretary Chris Wright said on Monday at the 7-week energy conference in Houston. The most common market have fallen into chaos as US-Israeli war with Iran has led to the closure of a key trade point and damaged production infrastructure in the Middle East, a strait where 20% of the global oil supply passes through daily. When the global Brent futures were trading over 100 a barrel. This is bold statement. Yeah, we can never know if it's real or not. I don't think it's true. I don't agree with you. So let's go through all the major stocks and indexes before we stop for my for today. So as you can see here, Tesla is reaching S&P 500 is going up. Nasdaq is doing wow and solid. Same thing goes for DJI. Oil is going down while gold is hitting for a bit. Apple is also going up. Tesla is benefiting $15 already. So 10 stocks of Tesla worth 4,000 or 380 could have got you $150 already. That's a great investment. That's 5% in one day. A huge value. NVDA is also going up. So all the major US stocks had great starts of the day. Let's see how Microsoft did. Microsoft is slightly going up. And all the major stocks are doing good this day. Except for Meta, actually. Oh, that is crazy. So silver is actually doing well too. After it hits its high of this level. Okay. So really much more value at silver. Gold is also doing good. So as you can see, we went down to this level and then we corrected. So our strategies are perfectly working, guys, okay? So our strategies are doing their job. So many US indexes all advanced 2% each. All S&P 500 sectors are green. Talon has got dips. US crude slides 10% down and Bitcoin is 5% up. So where is BTC? Where's my guy BTC? Give me my BTC here. Okay. Oh, where are these levels again? I need a daily for this one. Oh, I remember this day, yeah. I remember this day. Damn, time flew by, okay? Time is flying. Well, BTC is also doing good. All the major crypto stocks are rising after Bitcoin jumps to 70K as Trump poses Iran strike. So all stocks basically are doing good except oil. And that's a great sign for the oil or for the economy, okay? So we would see by tomorrow what's going to happen to the stock market. So thank you guys for your time watching this live stream. I really appreciate having you guys here. Please make sure. Well, I'll have one more summary here and then we close the live. Well, let's wrap this up. So what we're seeing right now is pretty simple. The market is reacting to relief but not resolution. Yes, tensions around Iran cool after Donald Trump delayed strikes and they give markets a reason to bounce. Stocks are up, oil is down, fear is fading, and that makes sense. But nothing is actually solved. At the same time, the AI trade is still strong. but getting crowded. The Fed is still cautious, is not rushing to cut, and oil remains the key risk in the background. So you got a market that looks confident, but is still very dependent on headlines. So the big takeaway, this is a headline-driven market, not a stable trend. Things can flip fast. So right now, the market feels strong, but it's not stable. It's moving on relief and not certainty. And this is the kind of environment. Well, today we saw markets bounce relief, not because the world suddenly got safer. Stocks are up, oil is down, gold is quiet. But the underlying risks are still there. This week, it's headlines, not fundamentals, that's driving the moves. Keep an eye on oil, keep an eye on geopolitical news, and don't get lulled into thinking the cost is clear. Market stocks to celebrate the pause, but let's be honest, this is all temporary. In 1 second, you ran can just escalate and end it all because the situation is still unsolved, unresolved. AI demand is real, but not crowded. Rates are still a factor, and stay alert, stay disciplined, and don't get caught chasing the hype. So keep your eyes on oil, the Fed, and the geopolitical developments, and make sure to follow the logic trampoline. Here's gonna happen or not. You can always see what's happening in the world. So thank you guys for your time watching this video. I hope you had so much value, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. So this is 10:30 a.m. I would go do some Pilates and drink some matcha, and I'll see you guys on the next video. Thank you and goodbye.